What we need to understand a little more about how aging became an issue, and I prefer always using the word issue rather than it's a problem, because in policy, as has been my major, when you have to address an issue at a policy level, you need to be able to define it. And in Trinidad and Tobago, as we are a plural society, it means that you cannot just box aging into just being a social issue. And what we need to understand, when I also said that in retirement now I use the title of gerontologist, what is gerontology? And gerontology really deals with the social, psychological, and biological aspects of aging. Now, when you hear of a geriatrician, just like you have a psychologist and a psychiatrist, you have a gerontologist and you have a geriatrician. The geriatrician, or someone who deals with the geriatric services and care for the elderly, they deal with the more medical aspect, and they can prescribe medications. That is not in the sphere of the gerontologist. So we deal with those three aspects. Also, what we need to know, the United Nations has defined an older person, whether we call them senior, some people call them an elderly and whatever, but we will use the word a senior citizen or older person. The United Nations has defined that person as being 60 as the baseline age and over. However, because of long life, we have now a longer life expectancy. This is not Trinidad alone, this is global. We have to be able to understand the social constructs within that 60 and over. It is not generic, it is not homogeneous. As a matter of fact, that population of 60 and over, the heterogeneity within it is the same as in the rest of the total population. This is worldwide. So what for policy purposes, those who craft and frame policy and those who have to deal with the resources, how the distribution of resources for these particular groups, what we do, what has been done in policy is that they have come up with 3 social constructs where within this group, those aged 60 to 74 are called the young old. Those who are 75 to 84 are called the old. And those who are 85 and over are the oldest old. As I said, it's a construct, so that when we have discussions, stakeholder discussions, and so it makes it easier to refer to those categories or those constructs to help and guide the listener, the audience, or viewer as regards why we are putting more emphasis on resource distribution onto the oldest old, or whether it's the old, and because it has to correspond and correlate with what are the care needs of those particular groups as they age, because aging, it's not a static thing, it is a dynamic process. As we all know, if you look back at your baby picture, your school pictures, your senior pictures, that's you. And you have been changing very subtly, but progressive. And it continues right up until our demise, because that none of us is getting out of life alive, so we know. So how we age, and we have to understand that the aging process is involuntary. As we are born, we are aging. However, how we grow old is another dynamic that we can control and manage. We don't stop the involuntary process, because that is going on at a cellular level. And this is what we need to understand. Aging operates at a cellular level. So even though we spend a lot and pay a lot of attention to the physical. And we have now a whole industry that has blossomed for the senior citizen. So you have age-defying lotion, anti-wrinkling cream, and a whole host of things. That does not stop the process because it happens at an internal cellular level. And those changes are part of the physiological changes that we all globally have to go through. What I didn't say earlier, though, is that in doing my PhD, the thesis that I did was on the draft aging policy at the time that the Ministry of Social Development was engaged in. And they were doing this draft policy on aging. And as serendipitous as it might be, when I was finished my degree, even though I did a lot of research and the data collection from the ministry, I didn't know I was going to end up working in that ministry because the position came when I was almost completed my PhD. The division of aging wasn't there when I started doing the research. So the fit in terms of coming in at that time and beginning as a young, old, just about on the cusp, I was able to help finalize the policy. So that's why I am so okura with all the terms and references and conditions that we had crafted that would suit our Trinidad and Tobago population. As we are on the demographic aspect of aging, I need to say that what causes, there's a term, a phenomenon really, called population aging. And what makes a population an aging population is when 10% or more of the total population is age 60 and over. So 10% is the baseline percentage. And right now, Trinidad and Tobago is at 15.4%. That's a lot of seniors. In numbers, that is about 215,600 plus. So when I started the division of aging in 2003, we were just about 9.6%. We were just about getting into that 10% range, but we were 9.6%. So clearly, and what I realize is the rate at which we are aging, based on our retirement age still being mostly at 60. We just have a few firms, sometimes the foreign owned, that retire at 65, but 60 is the public service, which is 90,000 employees, you know. And so we have to understand the demographics of Trinidad and Tobago in positioning it within the global aspect of aging. So